Thanks everyone for still staying with us on the show. This is Bigtalk reaching you from Abuja. A lot of concern. Many has given their opinion on how Nigeria's economy can better be addressed in terms of the enablers. What should be the driving force? What should be a participation by both government and the private sector in getting our economy workable? Can we pause a bit to look at the policies of government, how this is impactful on our economy, and how the entrepreneurs and the private sector can navigate themselves away from these issues and still coming out very strongly for a better economy and a prosperous nation. Tonight on the show, we'll be looking at all of those issues, the dissecting concern, what should be the tensions of government, what should we begin to do differently in getting all of those problems solved. I'm being joined all from Lagos by Peck Elijah. He's the MD and CEO of Liberty Hub International Limited. He joins us live virtually from Lagos tonight. Thanks so much, Mr. Elijah, for joining us on the show. Let's look at the problems. We're facing economic problems, business, the corporate world, and all of those concern. What are your observations about the state of our economy let's look at from 2023, ever since this administration came on board, and they said they inherited a bad economy and are trying to fix all of those concerns. Do you feel that the policies are impactful to businesses in the country?
The government has actually been trying to implement policies, but the fact remains that because of the lack we've had in the past, it is difficult for these policies to have complete effects within the short time frame they've been implemented. But however, the government is doing their best to see how they can implement policies, but implementing them is another thing entirely, because it is one thing to put these policies in place, but to implement them becomes a challenge, which is something we are finding very difficult in Nigeria to see how we can actually actualize and make it possible for us to do things the right way.
What are the strategy you may recommend tonight to look at how we can tackle all of this problem? Because yes, we cannot talk of the problem again. We are barely surviving with the problem. But what are the strategies you may simply recommend that Nigerians should begin to pay attention to in getting out of all of these issues?
The truth is, we need to start looking at how to do direct financial inclusion and access to capitals for SMEs generally, because 90% of our population is SMEs are members of the informal sector. So trying to see how we can empower that sector would really have a large impact on the economy, because if we empower the informal sector, the ripple effect is that it will boost the GDP and the economic situation of the country, and that would help us to do better in what we do. So for me, one of the best strategies to employ is that we do direct financial inclusion and have access to capital, so that we can be able to have more persons included in the struggle for success. We also need to look at how we can sustain entrepreneurship and develop skills that would help young Nigerians, members of the informal sector, to be able to do that. And thirdly, I would say we need to also be technology driven, access to markets, and then that will add to the economic growth of the country. And that's what we do at Liberty, for example. We want to see how we can put all of this together and drive them on a private-based relations. We are not waiting for the government to serve the entire needs of the people. We are taking the bull by the horn ourselves, and we are doing this directly to see how we can bridge the gap between what the government can do for the people and what we on our own can help ourselves do. Nigeria is like a country, a father with so many children. We need to help ourselves, and that's what we are doing presently.
Let's look at possibly to look at the informal sector. I mean, yes, we have formal sector and informal sector. Do you feel that if the informal sector is also organized in a way we not get things workable? Because if we go to other claims of workable economy, the informal sector is still well organized that even when you participate within the informal sector, like some of the jobs, the menial jobs some Nigerians are taking outside the shores of this country, most can be tapped towards that direction. How do we tap and organize our informal sector in marrying all of those things to get our economy viable again?
My answer to that is first, we need to look at the challenges the members of the informal sector face as entrepreneurs generally. If we can tackle those challenges they face, it will be easy for us to provide a solution. And that is why we have set out to do exactly so by providing access to the basic challenge we know that the members of the informal sectors will have. And what are those things? Financial access. If the government can support in providing financial access to the members of the informal sector, to entrepreneurs without collateral, and then create a friendly repayment plan for them, that will also help in tackling the challenge we face. We also need to provide an affordable digital way of payment solution for our entrepreneurs. Not to mention that we also need to look at how to mentor these people, because knowledge is power. Train them to have the right knowledge, the right perspective, so that they can do what they do successfully well, and that way they can be able to be confident that if they do this, they will be able to succeed. Our job at Liberty Hub is to bridge the gap between both the government and the formal sector when it comes to the banking sector, for example. Areas where they have failed is what we are looking at to become strong at, which is providing these solutions for members in a way that it will be easy for them to do business very well.
Do you still feel that Nigeria still has the potential enough, economic potential?
Yes, very well. Nigeria has a growing age when it comes to the age bracket between those who are. Our population is over 60% of our population is the vibrant age. We are youths who are below 40, and they are all strong people who can, when given the enabling environment, we can do business very well, and then put the right things in place. Yes, businesses can try. It's not late. It is not late for us to start, and that is why we are starting now.
Let's look at what good entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs can do, because one of the days we normally have mentorship, training. Yes, indeed, to engage the younger generation. What happens currently in the country also pay attention towards the issue of mentorship in the country. What may be your better suggestion in addressing all of this? There are lapses between those who have better knowledge about doing all of those things to young people who probably also want to tap in towards the direction.
What I would say we should adopt is the Igbo man's way of doing business, for example. Mentorship is key. If you look at the way the Igbos run the business and the economy situation in Nigeria, they understudy themselves. An average Igbo man goes to the village, pick a young boy or girl, bring them to the city, train them over a period of 4 or 5 years, and they become masters. That way they don't fail in the business, because during that process of mentorship or training, they learn the nitty-gritty of the business, and they can be able to they stand on their own when they are given that freedom. I will give another example, not just a very good one, but if you see the boys today who call themselves Yahoo, they take what they call mentorship from the so-called boss, and that way they know what to do better. So why don't we adopt that kind of system in our society? And that is why at Liberty Hub we have decided to say every SME or entrepreneur who is part of our business, we will show them how to do the business, link them up to mentors who are successful in that area. That way they will understand what they want to do, and it is hard to fail when you have full knowledge.
I mean, we are in a very big economic troubles. We may look at better suggestion or recommendations in how this can be done. Governments are coming out with policies, and businesses are saying the environment is not conducive enough. Issues of high cost of electricity is worrisome. And recently, the telecommunication sector are also calling for an increase of about 50%, in which even MTN have already started. How would businesses survive with all of those concerns?
It's a huge one on the economy because the rate at which things are skyrocketing, it's part of the challenge we face in the country, which is one area the government needs to also look at with inflation, high cost of situation, not just petrol, where high, we are looking at the naira devaluation, we are looking at the high cost of doing business in Nigeria, like you mentioned, power sector, and then now the telecommunications sector has also increased their rate of doing business in Nigeria, which is making business very, very difficult for members in the society, because that way, small businesses, entrepreneurs will struggle to survive. What we are doing to also mitigate that, for example, the telecommunications area, is that we are advising that members who are on our platform, we run on this closed user group situation where our members have access to a CUG line where they can make calls within the network for free over a period of that 30 days, and they are not paying extra to do that within the network. So that way we can mitigate the high cost of making calls and doing business in Nigeria. We're also looking at how we can be able to partner with other organizations to provide solar solutions for farmers, like farmers within our network, provide solar irrigation system for them, provide solar powering system so that they can be able to have access to this and cut off the high cost of paying for electricity and all of that.
I mean, you are an expert within the sector. You understand better on how all of those things can be addressed. You feel that the government are lacking idea in managing the economy, or because some of the impact, or maybe some of the policies are formulating, some businesses said it's making the businesses, it's making some businesses to leave Nigeria. Well, now we need more businesses to come into the country. The population of the unemployed population we have is increasing day by day, tackling the youth restiveness as well, and the concerns of the Japa syndrome, in which this government looks at, as a policy as well. What should better be done differently in addressing all of those things? The number of people in spaces saying they are hungry, the unemployment in the country, that may have said is we are sitting on the time bomb.
You are right. However, we do not want to leave the entire responsibility for the government, and we are not going to say that the government is not doing the best they can. But Nigeria as a country, we have been lacking a lot behind. The present administration is doing their best to be able to see that these things trickle down to the informal sector, and they are doing exactly what they can do, but the impact is not seen yet because of the huge gap with the sector. So what we are saying here is that the government can continue to implement those policies to see how they can be able to reach the grassroots. And then we also advise that the private sector, who is one way or the other reaping the informal sector by increasing prices in all they do, not providing appropriate support for the people. We want to see if these private sectors can be able to put their own strength and add value to what happens within that area. And then the financial sector also, they should slow down on prioritizing on interest and see how they can support SMEs, provide products and solutions that would help SMEs to thrive and grow. One thing we are doing differently in this case is that we are creating an alternative financial solution or system for our members. That way they can be able to thrive in the business they do. We are bypassing some of this exploitation when it comes to middlemen in the market. So we provide direct access between farmers, local producers, and our consumers within networks. That way they can be able to have access to what they need. We provide a solution for that. We have what we call the Liberty Mall. Our cooperative support farmers to be able to do what they needed to do. We finance them to be able to go to farm and buy up what they produce. That way they can be able to cut off the middlemen who also rip them off of the society. So if we continue to do this, we will continue to also push that these policies, there should be proper advocacy so that people will understand that these are obtainable within the society, and that way we can implement them properly.
Are you impressed now that we have the local government autonomy, funds sent from the federal government to our local government? Because as I said, I mean, some of our problems are local. We should also look at how we can tackle our problems locally as well.
That is a good attempt. It's a laudable one, so that the grassroots would have the feel of what comes down from the federal level, because the local government is closer to the people in actual sense. But our issues here is that would this be implemented in a way that the people at the bottom of the pyramid, the grassroots people, will be able to see these things work? I think that the solution is not just completely depending on the government. We want to continue to do our private partnership programs to see how we can support these people at that grassroots level until we can be able to water down and improve on what the government is doing. So within our system, we are providing a solution. We provide access to capital for SMEs. We provide access to markets. We have used technology to see that we can bridge the gap between the people who provide the solutions and the consumers in the system. So we also have what we call the Liberty Mall, where members can be able to buy and even sell what they produce. It's a cut off the middlemen. That way we will deal with the grassroots. We are looking at creating community markets and local markets where people can be able to buy what they want to buy at a cheap rate. So instead of going to put these things at the point where middlemen come to buy at the farm gate, we mop them up, take them to a community center where the consumers could have first-hand access to them, and that so farmers within our network are doing what we call from farm to pot or to table, because we cut off those middlemen within the society. So if the government continues to implement the autonomy for local government to be able to push on that, it will make sense, because grassroots people feel the impact over time.
Many thanks, Spec Elijah, CEO and MB Liberty Hub International. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with us on the show tonight on Bigtalk.
It's my pleasure. Let's keep doing this.
All right. Of course, the matter of economy is a necessity, a concern on how we can fix the economy. A year 2025, government said with the budget, things are going to get better. The private sectors will have having a whole lot of concern. We have been